Welcome to an exciting exploration of the bold and the beautiful, where passion, rivalry, and unexpected family connections create a tapestry of drama that has captivated audiences for decades. Today, we're diving into one of the most compelling storylines that continues to evolve, the complex relationship between Nick Marone, his son Jack, and the two women who both claim maternal rights to this young man. The news has spread like wildfire throughout Los Angeles. Nick Marone is sailing back into town. His return alone would be enough to stir the pot of drama that constantly simmers in the world of the Forresters and their associates. Nick, the charismatic son of shipping magnate Massimo Marone, has always been a force to be reckoned with. Unlike his half-brother Ridge, Nick was never a businessman at heart, preferring to embrace his maritime heritage. But Nick's return raises a much more intriguing question among fans and residents of Los Angeles alike. Will his son Jack be returning with him? This question isn't just about a family reunion, it represents the potential reopening of one of the most complicated and emotionally charged chapters in the history of these intertwined families. To understand the significance of Jack's potential return, we must revisit his extraordinary beginnings. Jack Marone's story is the epitome of soap opera complexity, a tale involving medical mishaps, biological surprises, and emotional turmoil that affected multiple families. It all began when Taylor Hayes, a respected psychiatrist, fell in love with her client Nick Marone, complicating their professional relationship. Their romance blossomed and they decided to have a child together through in vitro fertilization. Taylor successfully became pregnant and gave birth to a baby boy named Jack. What should have been a straightforward happy ending was shattered when a paternity test revealed a shocking truth. A mistake had been made in the laboratory. The revelation was devastating. Taylor had been accidentally impregnated with Brooke Logan's egg instead of the intended donors. This meant that Jack was biologically Brooke's son, not Taylor's, despite Taylor carrying him for 9 months and giving birth to him. To make matters even more complicated, Brooke was Nick's ex-lover, creating a tangled web of biological and emotional connections. The discovery that Jack was biologically Brooke's son set the stage for an intense custody battle between two women who already had a long history of rivalry. Their animosity wasn't new. Brooke and Taylor had been locked in a decades-long feud, primarily fighting over Ridge Forrester's affections. Their rivalry had become legendary in Los Angeles society, with dramatic confrontations that included a recreation of the famous Dynasty Lily Pond catfight in 2010. Jack's situation added a new dimension to their conflict. Taylor, who had carried and given birth to Jack, felt a profound maternal connection to him. Meanwhile, Brooke, as his biological mother, felt equally entitled to be part of his life. The situation became even more complicated when Jack needed a bone marrow transplant, and Brooke was able to donate her bone marrow to save him, something Taylor couldn't do. This medical reality deeply wounded Taylor, highlighting the biological connection between Brooke and Jack that she could never share. The custody battle eventually resulted in Nick and Taylor receiving joint custody of Jack. Taylor attempted to use this arrangement to strengthen her bond with the boy, but the emotional strain took its toll on her. She struggled with alcoholism and had difficulty bonding with Jack, knowing he was biologically Brooke's child. Eventually, in a heart-wrenching decision, Taylor gave Jack to Brooke, unable to overcome the psychological barriers to fully embracing him as her son. As personal and professional crises mounted, Nick made a dramatic decision that would affect many lives. After being exposed for stealing designs from Forrester Creations, Nick fled Los Angeles with Jack aboard his boat, the Shady Marlin II. This abrupt departure left both Brooke and Taylor without the child they had fought over so intensely. More surprisingly, after this dramatic exit, Jack was rarely mentioned again in Los Angeles circles, becoming one of those mysterious disappearances that occasionally happen in this glamorous world. For years, Jack's whereabouts remained unknown to the residents of Los Angeles. Neither Brooke nor Taylor had contact with the boy they both considered a son in different ways. Nick effectively removed Jack from the battlefield of their rivalry, perhaps hoping to give his son a more stable upbringing away from the drama. Now, with Nick's imminent return, speculation is running wild about whether a grown-up Jack might be coming back to Los Angeles as well. If Jack does return, he would no longer be the baby at the center of a custody dispute, but a young man with his own thoughts, feelings, and questions about his unusual origins. Jack's return would inevitably reopen old wounds and create new dynamics among the key players in his life story. For Brooke, seeing her biological son as a grown man would be an emotional experience, especially considering she never had the opportunity to raise him. For Taylor, Jack's return could bring back painful memories of her struggles to bond with him, but also offer a chance at a new relationship now that he's an adult. The most significant impact, however, would be on Jack himself. Imagine growing up knowing that you were at the center of one of the most controversial baby dramas in Los Angeles history. Jack might return with questions about his identity, resentment toward those who fought over him, or curiosity about the biological and gestational mothers he never really knew. To understand the potential drama of Jack's return, we must consider the current state of affairs between Brooke and Taylor. Their rivalry has never truly ended, though it has evolved over the years. Taylor has had relationships with various men, including a brief romance with Brooke's son Rick Forrester, which Brooke vehemently opposed. Meanwhile, Brooke has had her own series of relationships and scandals, including multiple marriages to Ridge Forrester. Currently, Taylor has once again found herself in Ridge's orbit, the man who has been married to Brooke no fewer than 8 times. This ongoing love triangle has been a constant source of tension between the two women, with Ridge bouncing between them for decades. Their animosity reached such heights that in 2018 they engaged in a food fight at Hope Logan's wedding to Liam Spencer. With such a volatile history, Jack's return would introduce a new battleground for these longtime rivals. Both women would likely try to establish a relationship with the young man, potentially competing for his affection and loyalty just as they once fought for custody of him as a baby. Perhaps the most compelling aspect of this potential storyline is considering Jack's perspective. Growing up away from Los Angeles, possibly hearing only Nick's version of events, Jack might return with a skewed understanding of his origins. He might harbor resentment toward Brooke for being his biological mother but not raising him, or toward Taylor for initially struggling to bond with him. Alternatively, Jack might return as a peacemaker, hoping to form relationships with both women without getting caught in their long-standing feud. However, given the intensity of Brooke and Taylor's rivalry, staying neutral would be challenging for anyone, let alone someone who represents such a personal connection to both women. Jack would also have to navigate relationships with his extended family. He has biological half-siblings through Brooke, including Hope and RJ, and was once considered a sibling to Taylor's children, Steffi and Thomas. These complex family connections could provide both support and additional complications for Jack as he re-enters Los Angeles society. Despite any good intentions, Jack's return would almost certainly reignite the conflict between Brooke and Taylor. Both women would want to establish themselves as the primary maternal figure in his life, and neither would likely be willing to step aside gracefully. Their long history of competition, particularly over men, would easily extend to competing for Jack's attention and affection. For Brooke, Jack represents a biological child she never had the chance to raise, a missing piece of her maternal experience. For Taylor, he represents the child she carried and gave birth to, only to lose him due to circumstances beyond her control. Both women have legitimate emotional claims to Jack, making compromise difficult. The situation becomes even more complicated when considering that Jack is now an adult with his own agency. Unlike when he was a baby, He can now choose which relationships to pursue and how to define his family connections. This shift in power dynamics would add another layer to the already complex situation, as Brooke and Taylor would need to respect his choices while still vying for his affection. While much of the focus would be on the renewed conflict between Brooke and Taylor, Jack's return would also present an opportunity to explore his own character and storylines. As a young Marone man, Jack might exhibit some of the charismatic and passionate traits that defined his father. He could become a new heartthrob in Los Angeles, perhaps catching the eye of young women already established in the show's universe. Jack might also have professional ambitions that connect him to the fashion industry dominated by Forrester Creations. Or perhaps he followed his father's maritime interests and brings new business opportunities to the table. His unique position as both an insider and outsider to Los Angeles society would make him a fascinating character with numerous storytelling possibilities. Most importantly, Jack would have to grapple with questions of identity and belonging that stem from his unusual origins. Who is he, a Marone, a Logan, or something entirely his own? How does he reconcile the biological truth of his birth with the emotional realities of his upbringing? These profound questions could drive character development that goes far beyond the drama of which mother he prefers. Jack's return wouldn't just affect Brooke and Taylor, it would send ripples throughout the entire social landscape of Los Angeles. Ridge Forrester, who has been romantically involved with both women, would inevitably be drawn into the drama. Nick's reappearance with Jack would rekindle old feelings and conflicts with numerous characters, including his half-brother Ridge and former lovers like Brooke. The younger generation would also be affected. How would Hope and RJ react to meeting their biological half-brother? What about Steffi and Thomas, who might have childhood memories of baby Jack before he disappeared? These family connections could create alliances and conflicts that extend beyond the central triangle of Jack, Brooke, and Taylor. As Nick Marone sails back into Los Angeles harbor, the possibility of Jack's return represents both a conclusion to an unfinished story and the beginning of an exciting new chapter. The baby who was once at the center of one of the most controversial storylines in The Bold and the Beautiful could return as a grown man ready to confront his past and forge his own future. For viewers who have followed the saga of Brooke and Taylor for decades, Jack's return would provide fresh perspective on their legendary rivalry. For newer audiences, it would introduce compelling drama rooted in complex family dynamics and emotional truths that transcend the soap opera genre. Whether Jack chooses Brooke, Taylor, both, or neither, his story promises to be one of self-discovery and reconciliation with his unusual origins, his absent mothers, and ultimately with himself. In the glamorous, passionate world of The Bold and the Beautiful, Jack Marone's return could be the next great storyline that keeps audiences tuning in day after day. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive into the fascinating world of The Bold and the Beautiful. If you enjoyed this exploration of past storylines and future possibilities, please don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more content about your favorite soap operas and the complex, captivating characters that bring them to life. Until next time, keep watching as the drama unfolds.